Justin D. Roy, and you tuned in for another episode of High Five's Canceled Misfits. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about the show Reaper. This is going to be one of the older shows that I'm probably going to have on here because this show actually is a little more than 10 years by now because it's from 2007. But what the show is about was the character Sam just basically finds out at the beginning of the first season that his parents apparently sold his soul to the devil. And then to make matters worse, he also has to apparently track down and trap and return escaped souls from hell. This show starred Britt Harrison and Tyler, I'm going to butcher his last name, sorry. Labine, I'm so sorry. I don't know how you pronounce your name properly. But some of the best moments of the show is actually the character that Tyler played, Sock. He's actually, if you ask me, actually one of the stronger characters in the show. Far more and more entertaining than actually the lead, which is probably going to be one of the things I say that actually hurted this show. Because when you're secondary character, your co-star is actually more entertaining than the actual star of the show, you already know you're getting into some trouble. Another one of the funner things about the show is the vessels they have. Basically, is what they call their weapons they use to capture the escaped souls that from hell. They've had like bizarre things, like they had squirt guns. They had some of the fun weapons they had were they had ugly sweaters. They had a taser. There's a 8-track cassette tape they used to capture a soul once. So yeah, that's one of the things I personally thought was pretty good about it. But now moving on to what the ratings were for the show were for the first season of Reaper. We had an average of a little below 2, so already starting out pretty low. A few episodes did rank fairly high, though, were 8.85, and even one that actually ranked up to a 10 for one of their episodes. That is probably one of the reasons why they maybe were willing to give it a chance for another season, because this did go on for at least 2. Because that's pretty good, actually, to have. That's ranking pretty high in there. Because I think it goes from 1 to 10. Usually shows, as long as they keep an average 5, I think, or in a pretty good range. But yeah, that's pretty good, though, to get up to an 8.5 and 10. But unfortunately, then he got into their second season, and looks like they weren't even averaging more than a 3. So that's probably why then they weren't really raising up to that standard where they had gotten to some of their episodes. So since it just continued to drop lower, that's probably why they ended up having to cancel. So now moving on to reviews, on an IMDb page, I found a critic rating of a 7.8 out of 10 from 20,000 critic reviews. A lot of critics did praise the show for its comedy and its cast. Not too many fan reviews were out there for this show, probably due to the fact that this has already been out for almost a decade, but the few that I did find did have high praise for it. Alright, so final thoughts on the show is that I did find it's kind of sad that, there were some decent reviews from both critics I didn't find from fans, but it feels like it just was a show that didn't really connect to enough people to just really wow, the studios to really want them to continue on with this show. And like I said, also, I think that it kind of suffers from the fact that they just didn't have a leading man that enough people really found all that interesting. Like I said, their more interesting character was their co-star. And I think even if you ask me, the Tyler, I'm not going to try to say his last name again, but has had a far more successful career than their leading actor. Because I think he's far more funny, charismatic actor than even he is. So maybe they should have, maybe led with him being the lead in the show. Maybe that could have helped it. But yeah, that just happens sometimes. Some shows, this are meant to be cult followings, just don't get enough people that are interested in it, and they fail. That's going to wrap up this episode for us today. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to also check out the link I'll have down at the bottom for a Patreon. If any of you would like to contribute to my Patreon, be sure to do so, and I would really appreciate it. Anyway, that's it for me today. Goodbye.